Okay, hi, welcome back. My name is Sia Dober Ellie, you can call me either of the three, and today I'm going to be turning candies into cuties. Our first candy that is up on this transformation is going to be Twix. At the moment, I'm just showing all the utensils or like the tools that I'm going to be using. I know a lot of people put them in the description, but I thought it would be, I want to test and see how it is like showing them in the beginning or maybe showing them throughout the video rather than putting them in the description. I don't really know. I'm just testing it out right now, but I like this idea, but it did add quite a big chunk to the beginning of the video that I feel like I didn't need there. So there was that. But yeah, these are the items, I guess, that I used to create the piece that you'll be seeing very soon. Don't really know what else to say about supplies. Give me some kind of like inspiration as to what I wanted to do, and the first thing that I thought of was twins, because Twix has this whole like promotional thing going on where it's like left Twix versus the right Twix, and how the right Twix is like drizzled on and the left Twix is cascaded on, like they're exactly the same but different somehow. So I wanted to play on the fact that there were you get 2 Twix bars and there's this whole like debate over left versus right Twix. So I started looking up twin poses. I tried to look up goth twin poses, and then I settled on like a pose of 2 people back to back, which you see right there. The problem I had with that pose though was that I could see the lines of the person in the back, like twin, I guess the left Twix. I could see the lines of what they were supposed to look like, but the right Twix in the front was completely blacked out, so I had to kind of play around with the proportions of the arm and play around with the proportions of the leg, because I couldn't see exactly where that was supposed to be. So the front person, who we'll call right Twix, was very hard. Like you'll see very soon that the proportions just look way off. She looks really weird. Just like look at that leg, like what is that leg? But the left Twix ended up being much easier. Sketching is probably my most hated part of drawing, I'm not gonna lie. So I did not relish in sketching this out, especially with all the difficulties I was having with right Twix in the front, Yeah, I'm glad I showed that erasing. So when I moved on to the left Twix, like I said, a lot easier. A lot of her pose I ended up hiding behind right Twix. So like if I didn't want to draw a hand or I was having trouble with the back leg or something like that, it was hidden behind right Twix anyway, so I didn't have to worry about her as much, and I ended up putting her in a dress anyway, so it was like she was the easiest. It was just the front person that was so hard to draw. Also, I don't think this paper was the best paper. Like the sketchbook was not the best paper for me to choose. It provided a lot of issues that you'll see later. I'm drawing the clothes here, so I decided to go for a more like conservative kind of look with right Twix and a more hippie, looser kind of look for left Twix. And the reason I thought of that was because my original idea, and I kind of wish I went with my original idea, but my original idea for what I was going to draw was I was going to I blanked there, sorry. I was going to put them as like political stances. So right Twix was going to be a conservative kind of party. It was going to be like a business type of suit, and the left Twix was going to be a more liberal party and be dressed in like a hippie looking kind of dress, but I thought that was like too political, and I wasn't trying to do that, especially with everytheverything that was going on in the US at the moment with the government shutdown, and I did not want to add to that. So instead, I decided on just doing 2 girls, something simple, but I still made the right Twix more conservative, like she's in a turtleneck and her hair is in a bun. And, I had her smiling in the beginning, and then I had left Twix frowning, but I ended up changing that, and the right Twix ended up frowning and the left Twix smiling, and the left Twix gets a bouncy kind of loose hairstyle, like a free spirit kind of hairstyle, and then she gets a flowy pattern dress, and I just, I wanted them to look the same but different, kind of like how twins are. And I don't know, I feel like the other idea was a lot more fun, but this idea was just a good place to start this kind of series on, so yeah. Lining. Lining is my favorite part of drawing. Sketching is definitely like my least favorite, because whenever I'm sketching, I have this idea in my head of what I want, and then I want it to already be on the paper. Like, I don't want to sketch because it takes so long. I just want to line it already. And then coloring is like another least favorite. I don't know. I feel like a lot of people like coloring, and I just don't. Lining is my favorite part, and I'm always so tempted to just leave it at lines and have somebody else color it in, or just not color it in. But I find that the only kind of like coloring in that I like to do is watercolor, like painting or watercoloring. I enjoy that, but I don't really enjoy using end up using Prismacolors color pencils later, and I ended up not really liking it, and it must have been like the paper wasn't the best, but I'll touch more on that later when that comes up. But the lining is my favorite part. You'll see that I'm using both hands to line. The problem I was having was that I didn't want to move my right hand over and block what I was doing, so I was like, I'll just switch to my left hand, it doesn't matter. So I that's me showing what I was listening to. Triforce podcast, guilty. But yeah, I tend to switch between hands if I'm having a hard time reaching a certain place. Like if I didn't want to cover something that you guys need to see, I would just switch to my left hand instead, and that worked a lot better. I do draw a bit slower and line a bit slower with my left hand because it's not my dominant hand. My dominant hand is my right hand, but I can still line and color with my left hand if I need it. I can't sketch with my left hand, but I can line and color with it. So that's what I ended up doing. I don't know if anybody else does that, where you just kind of switch between hands every now and again, but I do that. So the flower pattern, there was a big issue I come up to later on because I didn't fully think out the outfits with the color scheme that I was going to end up with. The Twix colors are like red, gold, brown, caramel color, and I didn't really take that into account when I did the outfits, because I limited myself to only those colors as I planned on doing. I only planned on limiting myself to the colors of like the Twix, the wrapper, the caramel, the cookie, which came to bite me in the tushy. By staying only with these colors, I decided okay, I'll swatch them out, I'll see what they look like, and I'll kind of decide from there where I'm going to put them, because it only occurred to me after I'd already drawn the clothing and lined it that clothing choice may have been poor, but I swatched them and I had to decide what to use as the skin color, what to use as the clothing, what to use as the hair, and decided to give them a more chocolatey colored skin, because that is like the base of a Twix. Like that is the main flavor that I get when I eat a Twix, is the chocolatey flavor. So I decided to use that as like the base for them, like the base for the skin. So they both have this brown, this brown skin, and I use like a darker brown to shade and all of that. But because I use the darker brown for their skin, I could not use it anywhere else. Like I could not use it, not the darker brown, sorry, that color brown that I'm using on the skin, I could not use it anywhere else because it was their skin color. The darker brown that I use for the shadowing, I could use somewhere else because it was just shadowing. But then that already limited me one color, like that color I could not use anymore. So it made it even harder when it came to the clothes and the hair, because it's like, well, what am I gonna do? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I feel like I should have thought this out a bit better, and I definitely will do next time. As you can see, I'm using that same dark brown that I used for the shadows on the pants. Oh yeah, the issue I was having, you see it's very patchy and really like, I don't know, sparse. The sketchbook I was using, as you saw in the beginning, was a 1 pound sketchbook, right? So I got it in the Works, which is a shop in the UK, it's like a shop in the UK, and I got it from the Works. It's a carved in black sketchbook. It's only £1. The paper's not bad. I will say that. The paper's not bad. It's just too coarse for Prismacolor and not coarse enough for watercolor. So it doesn't hold watercolor very well. Like it crinkles up a lot. And the Prismacolors, it was just too coarse for it. So I realized like very quickly that I had to press down really, really hard and to get like an even color. And I hate doing that because it's such a waste of product. Like when I have to press down really, really hard, and it's just a waste. And I had to constantly keep sharpening the pencils. But I found that I had that issue mainly with the darker ones, like the lighter colors that I had, like the yellows, the reds, even like the lighter brown. I still had that issue, but it wasn't as bad as with like that dark brown and the black. They were so patchy. It really, really irritated me. So I think the next time that I do this, I'm either gonna have to change the paper, or I'm gonna have to change the material that I use, because oh my god, it was not working. But as you can see, I did her turtleneck like this, the caramel color. So like her pants are chocolate, her top is caramel. The only color that left for her hair was red, because I didn't want to put yellow and then she'd just be this big blah of like browns and yellows. So I put red in her hair, and I like it. Like I think it looks really good. I really regret using this paper. The left Twix? Yeah, left Twix. Because I used the browns and the caramels on the right Twix, I decided to make her dress red to kind of combat right Twix. Like I thought I would give her the red dress, but in doing that, I realized that she seems less like a Twix than the right Twix, because her dress is red, and then I end up going with yellow hair. Yeah, I think I give her yellow hair. I'm not 100% sure on that because I don't have the pictures reference anywhere near me right now, but I think I end up giving her that yellow caramel colored hair, but that only really left her with red and yellow. Like she had no brown on her apart from her skin to really be a Twix. But I guess if you like held it sideways, it kind of looks like a Twix. I don't know. It could just be me. I do plan on like, oh yeah, there goes the hair. It's yellow. Okay. I do plan on like in the future planning this out a bit more, like color scheme wise and where it's going, and trying to do a more interesting pose. So we'll see how I do that. That is all I have for you today. If you liked the video, consider subscribing, consider liking, and I will see you next week for another video. Bye guys!